Do you know what Vic the Butcher and Winnie the Pooh have in common?
I don't know. Are they voiced by the same person?
Nope. They both have the same middle name.
You asshole.
And we're live.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dax Hastings, and we are once again brought together. And like always, I am joined with
Mike Bundy
and Shill.
And before we go on this episode where we want to get over to our top 5, go on and present Nintendo with a proposal, a game proposal that yours truly, the Geek Tavern radio guys here, have come up with, brewed up. Let's get into this Nintendo Direct. But I guess actually before we even do that, how's it going?
Yeah, I don't know. It's shit.
It's shit, huh?
Well, why is it shit, Mike Bundy? Why is it shit?
I don't know. I just wanted to swear for the first time on the episode.
You forced me to swear.
Well, yeah, I know.
That's what he's trying to do.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's actually probably pretty in a good mood.
Yeah, I'm good. I had Shill come over after he got off work today and do this in-house.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm doing good because I'm going to get to this. I got to play some Guitar Hero.
Right? Like, that was crazy. We used to spend hours upon hours in
days,
the
hours,
days, hours, months, years of our lives playing Guitar Hero. And yeah, it was nice to pop that back in and play around for a little bit.
We played some Tool.
Yeah, right. That's a new adult thing that we are now enjoying. Thanks to one of our friends, Codezor, I got really into Tool. Like, they became one of my favorite bands. And back when I used to play Guitar Hero, I didn't touch any of those songs.
I played Schism here and there.
What is this garbage? But man, that was blasphemy at the time because those guys are great.
Yeah, my hands hurt.
I did pretty good.
It's a good time. Yeah.
How about you, Dex? How are things going with you?
Everything's going good. However, as you all know, and thank you guys for, of course, I listened to the episodes the past, 2 or 3 weeks I've been gone off the show, and you guys did a fantastic job. The whole time you guys completely just kept me compelled and kept me hooked to the show. So it was entertaining, and it was just great to see and hear you guys. For me, it's going real good. As of yesterday, I actually went out and did the Rivals of Ixalan, the new Magic the Gathering set. I did the pre-release, and I did fairly well. I came in 5th out of like 30-some people.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Yeah, certainly was. I built, for those who don't know, at the pre-release for a new Magic the Gathering set, what they typically do is, for instance, the second set, or the second, what do you call it? Chapter or whatever in the story of Ixalan. So there's an Ixalan, and then there's a second set that goes with Ixalan. It's called Rivals of Ixalan. Well, anyhow, you basically, during these pre-releases, you get 6 packs and you construct your own deck together. I turned out making it was a blue-green aggro merfolk deck, and it actually did pretty well. It seemed like the tougher decks, the better decks, were ones that were comprised of black and white. So I hardly had any good black and white, but it was real fun. I mean, it just got me back into Magic. It felt real good. I got together with one of my friends here in Pittsburgh, and we just had a blast. And of course that started stirring up ideas about the possibility of streaming Commander content, EDH, which of course is a format. But here it's going real good. Of course, I have been into Enter the Gungeon. I've been playing that every single day before I go to work, and I don't want to say this too loud so my wife hears, but even after work when I come home and she goes to bed. She's been there's a mystery. There's a mystery going on right now with my wife, and it's the whole, why are you up so late at night? And I'm afraid if she hears that it's because of this video game, she more
she
so
might hear, yeah.
probably end up being more pissed. But yeah, it's going real good. It's going real good on this end. Can't say too much beyond that.
So before we started the episode, we asked you what you thought of the new theme song.
Oh, yes.
So we should probably take this opportunity to thank Easy Tiger from DuBois, PA.
Yep, absolutely. Shout out to those guys for graciously providing one of their songs to us.
I mean, these guys have a website and an iTunes, right?
Not iTunes.
They have a website, yeah.
They have a website. Well, from here on forth, like always, in our show notes, we will have their website. Everybody, if you enjoyed the song at the beginning of the show, please go right down through our show notes and you'll see right then and there. You can follow that website. You can go and get linked up to all their content,
Absolutely.
all their music.
Yeah, it's just it's on Facebook. Just search Easy Tiger
as well. Yeah.
I believe it might be the second one that comes up, but if you see that they're from DuBois, PA, that is them.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, Bundy, when you and I had spoke and Chill about the possibility of getting other music, I mean, it was you who had thought about, why don't we go with our friends or people that we know, people who are out there and doing something independently like we are. And you basically put one and one together and it's like, oh man, Easy Tiger. And I know I have a couple of their EPs, but however, it's this very song that actually stands out to me. I couldn't remember the name of it. I'll admit that. However, I mean, if you would have gave me more time, I would have definitely pointed out, and this would have been the song.
Right. Yeah.
Guys.
Carl.
Guys. I want to talk about the Nintendo Direct.
Mini.
Okay. Mini Nintendo Direct.
Oh, yes. It's called the Nintendo Direct Mini.
Yeah. Well, it's a thing
like
that happened.
Mini.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that they did that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Stupid.
So, Dax, what are you most excited for out of that Direct? Or do you want to start with the full list of games?
Yeah, I mean, because we got a lot to talk about on this episode.
All right.
And of course, it is Nintendo-centric once again because Sony and
because we're a Nintendo podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. We might as well just put that as a subtitle underneath the Geek Tavern name. However,
I know
the one thing I really like about this whole thing is I truly do believe Nintendo delivered.
Definitely.
Yeah, they delivered, and again, I don't want to get into a conspiracy or get my hopes up high, but I think there's more to come. I think we're actually soon enough. I'll put my money on it. I'm going to say February we're going to get another one. However, so let's get into detail on this. First thing that pops out to me that I'm absolutely...
Well, I'll tear through the list real quick.
Okay, that's fine.
I want to tear through the list real quick. So we're getting The World Ends With You, remixed for Nintendo Switch, very popular 3DS title. People love it to death, and it's getting remastered for the Switch, which is going to be great. They announced some new Pokken Tournament DLC, which brings the full Japanese arcade version of the game to the Switch. That's worth noting that this DLC actually already existed but wasn't brought over to the console version. The Kirby game got more updates. They announced some new abilities for the Kirby game that's coming out for the Switch. They're porting Hyrule Warriors, the full version of the game that combines the Wii U experience and the 3DS experience because for whatever reason they were separated. Mario Tennis is a new title that got announced. They are bringing a story mode with that. That is an incredible announcement. It's the first time one of those has had a story game since the Game Boy Advanced. There is a game that I cannot announce, Lecrozma of Dana on Nintendo Switch, the Wise 8.
It's called
title.
Yes
8. Thank you. These Japanese games, I don't get them. Mario Odyssey is getting a new update that's free, which means that maybe they're working on some DLC for that. We can talk about that a little later as well. There is a new fighting game, SNK Heroines. It is just a side-by-side fighter, reminiscent of like Tekken and things like that. Mario and Rabbids is getting a new update, which we'll dive into what that includes later. Payday 2 is coming to the Nintendo Switch.
Super pumped for that.
Yeah, Payday is a great franchise. Feel the Song in Fee. That game looks amazing. Fee looks absolutely amazing, and they said that there were HD Rumble features included in that, so that's going to be cool. And then Celeste looks like a very challenging adventure platformer. And they are porting the Donkey Kong game from the Wii U, the Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Very fun game, very worth the money to purchase that. They're adding more content to that. And the biggest announcement, the huge surprise that I did not see coming, and it was a third-party developer, announced Dark Souls Remastered for the first time during this mini direct.
Yep.
That is insane.
Which
3 to 4 years ago, the developers of Dark Souls said that Nintendo, they don't make games for Nintendo's audience.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And let's piggyback off of this right now. I played the first Dark Souls. Of course, very, very challenging game. I believe the predecessor to that one was it Demon Souls or something like that?
Yeah, Demon Souls.
Yeah, both really hard games. Dark Souls, though, I do have fond memories of playing this on the PS3. It was one of the first few, matter of fact, that I actually got. I will admit this, I didn't get really far. However, it was really enjoyable. What I like to see, like what I'm really enjoying about this whole thing right now and from this Nintendo Direct, is the very fact that this Dark Souls Remastered, it's not just made for the Nintendo Switch. See, a lot of people, of course, reading forums and whatnot, reading a lot of the Reddit forums especially, there's still this aura in the air. There's still this go-to when people get excited about Nintendo receiving a game that, of course, had previously already been made. And the haters, of course, out there will just say, well, it's just a port. Yeah, well, it's 6 years too late. You know what I mean? But this remastered isn't only for the Switch, it's actually for the PS4 and it's for the Xbox One. So I'm just actually, I don't know if I sound silly right now, but I'm actually really happy that it's for all platforms, because it goes to show that this third party isn't just going out of the way to help or please Nintendo and Nintendo's fans. And so all in all, I mean, what it really says is that right here we have another game, another one made by a third party that's going to be on the shelf for the Nintendo Switch. So I mean, I'm of course super stoked.
As am I. I have to say that Nintendo's really pulling out all those stops, and the Switch's popularity is grabbing all of the third parties' support, and it's truly amazing to see. Mike Bundy, what are you most excited about from the Direct?
Probably got to be Hyrule Warriors for me, I think. I waited it had to be 2 years before I found that game for a decent price on the Wii U, and by that point, I just didn't care. But if it gives me something to play on the Switch, I will definitely buy the new version that's coming out, because I mean, it has 3DS content that the Wii U didn't. So
right, there are whole character models and things that were added, whole characters that were added in the 3DS version that the Wii U never got.
And there'll be the Breath of the Wild versions of Zelda and Link. So
yeah,
that'll be cool too.
That will be really neat. Dax, what are you most excited about out of it?
I'd have to say out of the whole thing, it would probably be Hyrule Warriors as well, only because I missed out on the first two versions, that being the Wii U and the later 3DS version. I was tempted to get it, on my 3DS, but I heard it just ran pretty bad. So
yeah, I heard it was pretty terrible.
Yeah, frame rate issues, glitches. I just heard it was real bad. So I held off on it, but I'm really excited. It's definitely one that I am going to grab.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Go ahead.
Yeah, the one, though, that is I'm still on the fence about, and I don't know, maybe you two can, kind of give me a change of heart, but the Kirby Alliance game,
Oh, dude, that's the one I'm most excited for. I love Kirby. I've been playing it since the original Nintendo. I had it for Game Boy. I had the Crystal Shards for the 64. I skipped out on a couple of the titles in the Wii era because they did the motion-y control stuff, and the one for the Wii U where you drew on the screen, I had
Mhm.
no interest in whatsoever. But I'm happy to see them going back to the platforming element that they do so very well. Those games with you absorbing the different powers, there are so many options that you could have to jump around in that universe. So many different ways that you can play so many different levels, and to have a four-play multiplayer experience uh, with all of those different elements, it's a little bit slower paced than Mario. So like having four players on the screen at once is cumbersome in Mario because everybody's trying to run and do their own thing, but Kirby moves slower. So you'll be able to interact with other elements. I mean, you were super skeptical about snipper clips when it was first announced, Dax.
Yes.
And then you picked it up and you played it and you loved it.
Great
You got
multiplayer game, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking that that this Kirby game is going to be the same experience, right? People look at it and they're like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy that. But then you'll pick it up and you'll play it, and it's going to be really rewarding, especially to play with other people.
Yeah.
And especially in couch co-op.
Yeah, couch co-op, yeah,
See,
for sure.
And I think that's why I'm willing to give this game a chance. It seems again, you were saying the different options or the different possibilities of interacting between you and your friends who are also playing the game with you. The different elements, the different abilities that you guys can kind of fuse together, morph together to create, certain attacks and whatnot. It seems real enticing. It seems pretty fun. And for me, as of right now, I'll say this much. Besides Enter the Gungeon and Mario Kart, to me, I mean, there really, in my eyes, hasn't been that many good multiplayer games on the Switch. That's the one thing right now that, that's actually hit me on the head was, there's no game right now. There's there's very, very few games where I can sit down and enjoy them, with anybody. So
Yeah, that is true. I have to say they are trying a little bit more with the online multiplayer. It seems like the Mario Odyssey update looks really cool, where you
yes.
do the hide and seek thing with the balloons. Then that's a free update, which is awesome. And it means that they're giving us post-release content for Mario. Are we gonna see Mario Odyssey DLC at some? Like that would be awesome, and I hope so. It would be amazing to get all of that extra added to an already great game.
Yeah, I mean, more moons, more worlds, whatever it means, it'll be great.
Absolutely. Let's go off of Mario there for a second because I know we're all really excited for this, and I am especially because it includes my favorite Nintendo character. But Mario plus Rabbids surprisingly got DLC, which I didn't see coming. I think they've actually maybe put out a few DLC packs, like, a few things here and there, maybe. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I picked up that game because you two are sharing that copy of mine. But it looks like we're going to get new content, a new story, a new area, and we're also going to get a new character. Donkey Kong is making his way onto Mario plus Rabbids.
That sounds really fun. That sounds really fun. I love that game. I mentioned last week that I've been playing it a lot because you let me borrow it and because it made your top 5 list. So I just wanted to jump into that experience. But having the DLC option, I don't think I'm ever going to give that game back to you.
Dang it.
No, but realistically,
I'm come to this.
I'm very excited that that game's getting all this post game, support. Yeah, I'm very happy to see that happening for them.
Yeah, the trailer, of course, the trailer didn't show any gameplay. It pretty much showed Donkey Kong being involved with all the quirky, goofy characters of, the Rabbids and Mario's World and everything, and him throwing bananas and him taking Peach Rabbid, Rabbid Peach, and chucking her like really high up onto a cliff top so that she could have a vantage point. What do you think could possibly be the mechanics that could be brought in? Do you I mean, Shill, you and I have the most experience with the game, and you, Bundy, you played a little bit of it. Do you see this developer bringing in a new mechanic with Donkey Kong?
So what I think Donkey Kong, I think what Donkey Kong's ability is going to be is that when you do a team jump with him, you're going to be able to launch to, almost any section of the map. That's really what I think his main ability is going to be.
That makes sense.
Kind of teases that element in the trailer where Rabbid Peach, I think that because he's so strong, he's going to be able to grab a character and throw them to 3 or 4 times what you would get from a normal team jump. I think that's really the element that they're going to go with on that.
I wonder if he will have the coconut rocket launcher.
Yes, or the coconut gun.
Man.
This coconut gun, he fires in spurts. If he shoots ya, it's gonna hurt.
Oh, dude, my parents used to get so annoyed with Donkey Kong 64 on the main screen. I just turn on my console, go to take like a crap, and that song would just play over and over and over again. I mean, other possibilities for, Donkey Kong's mechanics too. I could see him, doing something where, so ever so many turns whenever you activate it, if it just so happens that a rabbit wants to, slide tackle Donkey Kong, I can see him in a very comedic way, like throwing a banana peel in front of them and it causing them
turns or something.
Yeah, and it causing them to slip off somewhere else, preventing them from hitting him. Yeah, I just don't know, man. It's really interesting to see them bringing, I mean, you already have this bizarre world of the Rabbids and Mario, and then you bring, Donkey Kong into it. So it's gonna, I don't know. I'm really curious. I'm wondering if too, because how there's the Rabbid Donkey Kong, which of course kind of pointed to the fact that we would see Donkey Kong in this game.
Yeah.
But the Rabbid, I wonder if we'll see any interaction between Donkey Kong and Rabbid Donkey Kong.
Rabbid Kong.
Rabbid Kong, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm just really happy to see that game is still breathing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm happy to see the life that the Switch currently has. All of this stuff that was talked about during this mini direct is all stuff that's coming out before May.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Dark Souls might be longer. Maybe that is early May for Dark Souls.
I don't know.
So, but anyway, all of this stuff is coming this spring. This is immediate. So Nintendo has a plan for the rest of the year. And I'm genuinely hoping that there are some more Wii U ports coming. I would love to see Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker ported over to the Switch. I would love to see Super Mario Maker make its debut on the Switch, and not to mention Super Smash Brothers coming to the Switch. I would rebuy the Wii U version of that game.
Yeah, I mean, I could see us getting a new one at some point, but I think so many people want it right now. Like, we would just take like the deluxe version.
Right, it comes with all the DLC.
Yeah,
maybe they throw a new character at it. That would be great.
Yeah.
And see, I'm on the other side of it. I don't know. I don't want to see them pouring it. I mean, Nintendo has a formula right now, and their own games being ported over to the console is obviously working. I mean, let's look at third-party examples. Look at Super Meat Boy.
Right, Super Meat Boy, yeah. Sold almost as well as it did on its debut on the Xbox 360.
Yeah, so these ports are obviously working for the Nintendo Switch, and I'm not ruling out that a Super Mario Brothers deluxe, a version of the Wii U and the 3DS one that most recently came out wouldn't work. I don't know. I almost would just rather see a new one.
How about this compromise? Nintendo makes an announcement, says, "Hey, you guys, we're making a new Super Smash Brothers." Right? It'll come out next year at holiday, or a year and a half from now in spring, or whenever they decide to release it. But in the meantime, we have ported over Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U so that you can play with all your friends.
Oh yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. That is an ideal situation. And that is probably going to be the reality. They may not announce the new Smash Brothers, but if they port the Wii U version to the Switch, a new version is coming.
Absolutely, it's inevitable.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at the short-term gain of having Super Smash Brothers that we could all play together on an immensely popular system versus the short-term, I want a new Smash Brothers this year, and I'm going to be a child if I don't get it.
I mean, I'd be okay with them taking out even maybe the 8-player, because I don't know how you would connect more than 4 controllers.
The Switch can connect 12 controllers.
Oh, can it?
It can connect to 12 other Switches.
Okay. I don't know.
Or 11 other Switches.
11 other Switches, yeah, sorry. For clarification. I mean, you can do 8 players in Mario.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
on one TV, you have to have 2 Switches, but you can do 8 players in Mario Kart.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah. You can do
Pretty
12.
nuts. I mean, but all in all, at the end of the day, I was not displeased
Me either.
by this
And I think there's
whatsoever.
more coming.
And more is coming, and a majority of people, I would have to say, although getting their hopes too high and being a little butthurt that there was no Smash or Grand Theft Auto 5, because that's something that's been highly rumored, that Grand Theft Auto 5 is indeed coming to the Nintendo Switch. However, Nintendo, of course, has not said that. I think, though, that sort of game would be one where it would be on one of their main directs.
I agree.
Yeah. But
I
let's move on, guys, to numbers, because, of course, we've got a lot to talk about here later in the episode. But I really missed out on your guys' NES top 5 last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's not an entirely terrible thing, Dax, because we actually have decided that we're going to talk about our top SNES titles this week.
Well, I'm glad I have a list in the top of my head. Otherwise,
Wow. It's
I'd be
almost
SOL.
like we planned it. It's almost like we planned it.
We're totally improvising.
keep it all. Keep it all.
No construction whatsoever.
Right.
Absolutely
So,
not.
guys, I'm just gonna be direct, and I think I'm gonna go first. Dax got first dibs on the top 5 games of the year for 2017. Bundy, I gave you last week with the SNES titles. I think I'm gonna have to go first this week. So number 5 for my favorite SNES title is Mario Paint.
Ooh.
Right. A title people don't think about much on that console. But it came with that little mouse that you hooked up, and you designed things all the time.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, my favorite mode in that game is the one where you make the songs, you compose the music, and you can recreate all of the old Mario tunes and then edit them the way you want to and play around with that stuff. But it had all those cool sound effects that you could drag into the musical staff. And it was ridiculous. There was a barking dog in there on point. You could just redo the original Mario theme song with just a barking dog at different pitches.
Great.
It was ridiculous. And the Fly Swatter game. You guys remember the Fly Swatter game?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yes.
I mean, it's been
Oh, that
a long
was
time.
the best. I loved that game. Those nostalgic things are why I chose it for number 5. How about we go to Bud next?
Let me just say this. Most of these games, of course, I mean, just like yours, are the ones that I have the most fond memories of.
Absolutely. That's what we do this for.
Watching my siblings play, and I play as well. My
Yep.
number 5 is an RPG game, and it was developed by Capcom, I believe. And it's Breath of Fire, the first one.
I'm not familiar with that title.
Yeah, you follow a blue-haired warrior named Ryu who has a bloodline in him of the Dragon Clan, I believe, if I'm correct. It was just really good at the time. Again, this was more so a game that I watched my oldest brother play for the majority of the lifespan of our Super Nintendo. However, whenever I got my hands on it, absolutely fell in love with the game. It's the whole reason on to why I even gave RPG games a chance. It was my first RPG game. So that's my number 5.
Not bad. My number 5 is going to be a little game called Scooby-Doo Mystery. This game, I got an NES. This was pretty late. Like, I had a PS1 at the time, if not a PS2. I got a SNES pretty late. And this game's like I mean, what you think a Scooby-Doo game would be with, side to side, 2D, obviously. Basically, you got to find clues and like there's bad guys to jump on or punch or whatever you got to do to them. I just had a ton of fun with this game as a kid.
That's like me last week with my my Tiny Toon Adventures game.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah. Like it was one of the games that we definitely played because we watched the cartoon.
Right.
But like it held up, I mentioned that last week. Tiny Toons was a great game. So the game that I selected for my number 4 is also a great game. It is A Link to the Past. One of the
number
greatest.
4.
Yeah, I know. You can knock my decision to throw all these Zelda games at the bottom of my list, but I chose my personal favorites, the games that I constantly replay, right? Those are how I design my personal favorite lists. And Zelda, I've played 1,000 times. I've played A Link to the Past more times than I can count. I have it for my 3DS. I owned it on my Wii U. I got the sequel for A Link Between Worlds. It's actually on the 3DS.
Yeah.
Link to the Past. Maybe I don't own it for that one. Maybe I had. Did they remake it on the Game Boy? Maybe. I don't know. I'm rambling now. But number 4 favorite game is A Link to the Past. It's a classic. If you haven't played it, jump into it, experience that Zelda world, and truly one of the greatest games of all time for the Super Nintendo.
This one is probably the Super Nintendo game that I played the most, without a doubt in my mind. Matter of fact, it's the first game that I was actually able to. I remember going with my mom and buying my first experience ever, having my mother buy me a video game and hand it over to me. It was Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. And again, Donkey Kong being the platformer that it is, this actually introduced you to a top-down exploration of the whole map in this game, where you and I believe so your main character is of course Dixie Kong, but then there's, I think it's Baby Kong, maybe. I just remember it's just this little baby Kong, or well, big. He's about the size as Donkey Kong himself, and he wears a blue onesie. But dude, I played this game so many times, and again, I don't know. I remember you could get different vehicles and like different boats and all this kind of stuff, and just kind of explore the map. But also inside of that map were actually hidden gems, hidden puzzles, where if you intervene between these like 4 rocks, in the middle of the map, it would actually reveal a new world, or a quote unquote world, or a new series of stages. So again, the most played game and one of my most fond ones, my number 4 is Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie's Quest Double Trouble.
I personally never played that one. I think I played the first 2 actually. So my number 4 is a game that I don't know, could probably be higher on other people's lists, but it is Yoshi's Island. I love this game. I don't go to it that often, but I played it a ton, in my younger years. So, I knew it needed a spot on my list. I'm sure everybody knows what that game is, so I'm not even going to try to describe it.
Well, so my number 3 was very difficult for me to decide on. I actually left it blank for a while. I didn't know what I wanted to throw in there because I was torn. I've recently fallen in love with Super Metroid. I love Earthbound, and the game that I finally settled on is Donkey Kong Country 2. That game to me is leaps and bounds better than the first one, but I didn't like the third as much as Dax does, right? So these games are very similar. You do the platforming elements, Donkey Kong, we mentioned earlier, Tropical Freeze, it's still alive and well today with the puzzle platforming. And all the different elements, it's different. You can hang on the ceilings in the newer ones, things like that. Mm-hmm. But Donkey Kong Country 2 deserves a spot on my list as my number 3. I've played that game endlessly when I was a kid, and I just wanted to throw it on the list. Dax, what's yours, number 3?
Number 3, why just put one Mario game on the list when you can put multiples on the list just by one title alone? And that's Super Mario All-Stars. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but this had Super Mario 2, Super Mario 3. Trying to
It
think
had 1, 2, 3, and World.
Yeah, it had
And
all of them.
World. Yeah,
it had
and
all
I
of
think-
them. If you got the copy that came with World.
The All-Star, like the
Yeah.
All-Stars.
All-Stars plus Super Mario World
Yeah.
version.
Okay, yeah. And
So which one are you putting on here? Are you putting Plus World or just All-Stars, period?
All-Stars, because that's the copy that I had.
Okay.
But man, I mean, that was the only time that I had played the game through that copy, the All-Stars copy, ever played Super Mario 3. And I played that game quite a bit. I mean, out of, Super Mario 2, whatever else was on there. That's the one that I played the most. It was real cool. It was just really weird, seeing, through that game, just seeing the progression of, Nintendo and the different elements of the platformer, the different types of attacks that the enemies would do, just the different kinds of obstacles and different enemies, the different sceneries in Mario that, when you look at the first Super Mario, I don't know. It introduced a lot, and it, again, made me think a lot in love for the Super Mario franchise. So that's my number 3.
My number 3 is Zelda: A Link to the Past. This is a very recent discovery, I guess you could say. More of a, hey, you should play this because you haven't lived.
We haven't mentioned to one another that we haven't lived recently.
Yeah. So this was a I hadn't lived moment. I mean, I by no means did I even get very far, but it's just because there's so many games. But I own it on the Wii U. It's on the SNES Mini. I have all intentions of sometime full on playing this game. But what I played of it, I really like it. I think it's really a beautiful game, even for a Super Nintendo game. Like, it looks great. So that's why it deserves number 3 on my list.
Yeah, it's a fabulous game, and there's gonna come a day when I'm gonna have to quit knocking Zelda titles. Like, I keep throwing them down on the lower levels of my list, and there will be a day when I top a top 5 list with a Zelda title, but it is not today. So number 2, my second favorite game from the Super Nintendo era is one that we've already mentioned throughout our lists. It is Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. That game took a new direction in the Mario franchise, took a character that was introduced in Super Mario World as Yoshi and created his own story. You do the Baby Mario thing where you deliver him back to where he belongs throughout the course of, throughout the course of the story. There's tons of collectibles in that game. The art style is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely love that art style. It holds up to this day because it's iconic, it's classic, and they even made a newer version on the 3DS that was in that same art style. I think Woolly World from the Wii U does a better job of holding up to the original franchise.
Yeah.
This game is classic, and Nintendo nailed it perfectly. And they've been trying to recreate the beauty of this title ever since, and they haven't quite hit the mark.
I'd have to agree on that. For my number 2, it's an uppercut. And if you don't agree with it, well, then just get over here, because it's Mortal Kombat 2. Mortal Kombat 2. Do you like that
intro?
You like that guy?
Yeah.
Just a golf clap
what,
for you.
Hey, that's what a top 5 list and a little bit of Blue Moon Belgian White will do for you.
Beautiful.
But Mortal Kombat 2, what can I say? I will say this, however, I did play most of it on Sega, playing it with friends as I grew up. Spoon, matter of fact, many, many days of I, and the whole group from back home playing this game, just getting together, congregating together in his basement, playing Mortal Kombat 2. However, I did play this on the Super Nintendo, so it does count. This game alone, Mortal Kombat 2, is probably the pinnacle of what I think the Mortal Kombat franchise was at. I think that was honestly the pinnacle of it. However, I do think the most recent ones are the best. However, when it came to classic 2D blood, guts, and gore, this one was, how would you say, superb. So yeah, Mortal Kombat 2 is my number 2.
Yeah, that's great. I love to hear that on a countdown. I will be saying those exact words on another system. My number 2 is also an even more recent discovery on Sheila and I's part, at least, that is, and that is Super Metroid. Now, I had never, I take that back. I played like 10 minutes of Samus Returns on a 3DS when it came out. And then, I had found the Super NES Classic. And when I took it down to Shield's place, we're like, screw it, let's try this. And so we were like losing our minds with how good this game really is. I even it's got me into playing Samus Returns and doing this little thing on our Super NESs where you can kind of put games on it. I don't think it's a bad thing. I recently downloaded some like the Game Boy Advance ones or whatever they are, and I'm gonna work my way through that franchise.
Awesome.
So that's my number 2.
That's really great. I love Super Metroid as well. So this is the moment of truth right here, right? This is where we talk about our number 1 favorite game on the console.
Drum roll.
So number 1 for me is one that I still play to this day on a regular basis with my partner in crime, Mike Bundy. Super Mario World. Hands down, the best title for the Super Nintendo. As I said, we've spent countless hours playing through that. We play through the normal way and not Star World. We don't do the speed running thing where you go through Star Road.
I haven't been on Star Road in years.
I know. So we play through the full game, get the full experience every time we play it. I still get super lost in the Forest of Illusion for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I've played that 1,000 times, and I still can't figure that part out. But what are you going to do? One of my all-time favorite games as well, Super Mario World, is my number 1 for the SNES.
Yeah. I mean, I'll concur with you on the fact that it is indeed, no doubt in my mind, the best Super Mario game. The best Nintendo game. It definitely is. I concur. I remember playing that with my mother. Like, that was like the only game my mother would take turns with me on. However, it's not my number 1. My number 1 is a top-down co-op shooter.
Oh, here it comes.
Made by, I believe, developed by LucasArts. You guys, Sheila, sounds like you knew this was coming, but it's Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew you were
It's my favorite game out there. And I mean, even before we started the podcast, I remember I was going on a rampage online trying to acquire a cheap copy of this game and then buying a pseudo Super Nintendo game that could play all the Super Nintendo games. However, I haven't done that yet, but I think this is the reason why I'm so into Enter the Gungeon as of right now on my Switch, is because of the top-down shooter. However, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, of course, took the elements of horror. It took zombies, of course. It took, vampires. It took the Frankenstein monster. But it was so silly, so quirky. I know I use that word a lot when it comes to these silly games, but it is. I mean, it's not every day that you play a video game, and I think by the 4th or 5th world, you are facing aliens and a huge giant baby in a diaper that's squirting milk all over a football field. You don't see that in a game anywhere. It's my favorite.
You ever play Conker's Bad Fur Day?
No, I have not.
Oh, you get a giant pile of poop that throws toilet paper at you or something.
Oh, man. I need to go out of my way and try to play that. Was that an N64 game?
Yeah.
I heard things about that video game, how besides that poop comment, I heard it was more.
It is.
Yeah, and it's a rare title. And the thing is, too, I think that character is in, I could be wrong, but I think he's even in Diddy Kong Racing 64.
I believe he is.
Yeah, yeah.
So
awesome.
So, that's my Shill obviously knew it was coming. Mike Bundy.
Yeah, so my number one is very close to Shill's, but I have to go a step further because when I owned the Mario All-Stars plus Mario's World. So I'll cover all of those games. So let's go with Mario 1 first on the cartridge. I hate Mario 1.
On that one, yeah, I agree with you.
I hate it
It plays
in
like
general.
3, but it's still designed like World.
Yeah.
Or like 1, I mean.
Yeah. I hate that game all around. It came with Lost Worlds.
That one I can do.
I can't even do that one.
I can do Lost World.
It's got like reverse mushrooms. Ugh. And so, as you know from my list last week, Super Mario 2 is one of my favorite Mario games of all time. So I love that one. I spent most of my time with this cartridge on 3 and World. But I'm going to jump to World real quick because that's the actual Super Nintendo game. So I remember, I've told Shill this several times, I remember the day that he came down to my dad's house and showed me Star Road. And it blew my mind because I could get a blue Yoshi.
I don't remember this story.
Like, I remember the moment. I don't just remember like vaguely being in the room. Like, you told me about it, and I'm like, we were riding bikes, and you told me about it. And I was like, we're going back, and you're showing me. Because you can eat anything with a blue Yoshi, and then you fly.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah. That stuff blows my mind.
It's stuff like that makes a video game good, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're sitting back
Absolutely.
and you're talking to your friends about how you found this really cool secret path where you can get a blue Yoshi. Or you're talking to your friends about how to beat the raid boss on Destiny and explaining what to do in certain scenarios, what loadout works best, or what weapon you use and it gets you the most kills. Or the Breath of the Wild, you're sitting there talking with your buddies and saying, yeah, we're in this frozen tundra and I used the chili powder peppers that you can get to heat up my body temperature. Oh, I just carried a torch. Or I just ate food.
The whole way.
Yeah. It's moments like that
Yep.
we love in video games. The moments when you have an epiphany just by chatting with your friends. And it's those things that make things so special to us.
Yep. So that was our SNES top 5. If you guys want to, just go over there to Geek Tavern Productions at gmail.com and send us your top 5 or on Twitter.
Yeah, follow us on Geek Tavern. So I think that to close out this episode, we should talk about our pitch to Nintendo, the game that we have developed. Take a few minutes to throw out some ideas for a game that could link some amiibos or tell a story across multiple universes. So in lieu of what are you buying, what are you selling, I think we should call this segment, what are you pitching, what are you catching?
Oh man, I love it. Alrighty, yeah.
Dax, tell us about your idea for a Nintendo game.
All right, and of course, this is when it all boils down to it, guys. This is our game. By the time you, the listeners, hear this, we will have already sent a letter to Nintendo, and by letter, I mean that digital letter called an email. So here's the pitch, everybody. Not just speaking to you, Shill, or you, Mike, but you, the listener. So hear me out. I have this idea. We've had multiple Super Smash Bros. Games, correct? And of course, it takes these different worlds from Nintendo, from these these beloved characters that we enjoy so much. Your Link, your Zelda, your Donkey Kong, your Little Mac, your Star Fox, etc. The list goes on. And we always see them in this format where they're fighting one another. They're,
Right.
Just in a fighting game, which is cool and all. Sure, I mean, just like we said earlier in the episode, we're all for it. But what happens if we could take them and put those characters in a different genre? More so, let's take that element of these worlds, these different worlds being put together, merged together, not in a fighting style game, but in a genre such as a action role play game. And I think the best example is this. How many of you played X-Men Legends, developed by Ravensoft and published by Activision?
Yeah, it's basically the same thing as Ultimate Alliance.
Exactly. that
Hold
it
on.
would be this top down or pseudo top down, like from the side, from the angle, where you and 3 of your friends could get together and play over however many characters you would want to play in the game. Whatever characters fit into the Nintendo universe. Hell, even bring Mega Man from Capcom, bring Cloud
And that would be a
over.
licensing nightmare, like Smash is. But like even if you had just the Nintendo characters, right? There are so many
Exactly.
different Pokemon that you can incorporate, all of the Zelda characters, Mario characters, all of the Star Fox characters, all of the F-Zero characters. You know, you can incorporate all of these different spans and you wouldn't even have to license.
Exactly. And that type of game, this type of game, of course, would be your you cross different planes, different levels, and some being longer than others, where each one, of course, would maybe resemble a theme of maybe Kirby's World or Hyrule, or it because of course what would happen, there would be a story, of course, which is unlike the Super Mario Smash, or the Super Mario Smash, the the Super Smash Brothers games. However, I think the one for the Wii, correct, did actually have a story, did it not?
It did. It did.
Yeah.
But this would be your hack and slash action beat 'em up game where it would have RPG elements, where as you fight more with certain characters, their levels would go up, and of course you would have some type of tree level up system. And I mean, let's kind of look at it like this too. They would all have different abilities. I think my favorite example, and I was talking to my wife about this today when I told her that we'd be speaking about this on the episode, most companionship between these characters is if they actually executed moves together, executed combos, say, if you will. And my lead example on that is, wouldn't it be cool if whoever was playing Samus Aran, shooting missiles here and there and whatnot, and Shill here is playing Donkey Kong, I'm playing Samus, and I decide to roll up in a ball and try to use my bombs to unveil a hidden cave that might be, in this cave we might be in some type of pseudo merger combined world of Donkey Kong meets Kirby. And, I find power-ups through there when I get through the cave. But when I come back out, Shill, who's playing as Donkey Kong, decides to grab me and chuck me like a ball at the enemies. And then here, upon impact, I can decide that, I can either be chucked at them and just hard casted, hard thrown at him, or right before the impact I can set off explosions right as I'm about to impact on the enemy. So could you see any other combos, guys?
One that I thought of would be something like Zelda and Link when you're playing together. Like they could have, each character could have their own little combo move that they do, but like Zelda and Link could like summon the Triforce and like do like a beam blast or something to clear out enemies. Or you could have like Donkey Kong and Mario. Donkey Kong could throw a barrel into a stack of enemies, and and Mario could shoot a fireball at it, and it explodes.
A flaming barrel,
Yeah.
And see, you could incorporate those kind of elements too. Burn effects, poison effects. So that's something real cool that I didn't even think of.
Yep. There are a lot of possibilities. And you could play through this entire experience, and so you could have all these areas where you roam around and you unlock things as like you level up and stuff. Or you could, when you get a character, you could bypass like your level up skill tree to a certain extent with that character's amiibo.
Yes.
It's you're incentivized to play the game, but you're rewarded for having an amiibo.
Exactly. And I think this would be a great game to help revitalize the incorporation of not just your Zelda series, because a lot of these Nintendo games, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Shill, but I definitely want to touch on
No,
this,
it's okay.
the amiibo part.
I don't have
because,
anything else.
of course, Nintendo's a business. They are a corporation. They want to make more money. Well, with the amiibo, I think it's a big seller because, again, Nintendo tends to put out a game, for instance, we'll actually just use it by example, the latest DLC for Breath of the Wild that just came out. They released those, a series of the 4 champions, am I correct? Yeah, the 4 champions. And it came strictly out for that game. However, you who have invested in these amiibos time would be rewarded, with this game. And Nintendo, I don't see why they wouldn't like this idea, because right there, it just it entices for the people who missed out on some of these to go out and buy them, because not only can you help bypass your levels or rank up even higher, and I know that kind of seems like a microtransactioning type of thing. However, with it, you'd be able to automatically unlock, maybe you're able to unlock different costumes. Maybe with the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time version of Link, you unlock the Mirror Shield, which if you use the Mirror Shield with Link and you and Zelda are doing a combo, Zelda shoots a beam of light, and kind of like Captain America would with like Iron Man. I guess I'm just going to quickly grab that and steal it and use it by example. It'd be cool to see Zelda shoot a beam of light and Link put up the shield and bounce it and reflect it and sideswipe the area to do damage to the opposing enemies. So, I mean, and you could use the amiibo to unlock more special moves. And of course, you'd be able to select from many, special moves, of course. But of course, you'd only be able to assign so many to your hotkeys. But yeah, man, the amiibo is a big one. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, absolutely. Nintendo needs to do something with the amiibo. They just have so many out there now, and there's so little functionality. This would be a great game for them to really capitalize on the success of amiibo.
Absolutely.
I don't think this type of genre is dead in any way either. I forget what it's called. Is it just Marvel Heroes? I can't remember. The one, it's free to play on PS4 and Xbox. And it's basically an updated version of Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah.
So there's still players that play these kinds of games. So I mean, there's a market for it.
Absolutely, man. I mean, and I believe I read an article, because of course, whenever I first thought of this game many, many years ago, I mean, I don't even know if you remember. I mean, it was like 2 or 3 plus years ago, me and you were sitting down and we were basically trying out the whole podcasting thing, recording ourselves, and it didn't get too far. But when we all started first putting this idea together, I did do some research, and your X-Men Legends, especially your Marvel Alliance titles, actually sold really well.
Oh yeah,
out on the market.
They still hold their value. I think it's the second one I seen the other day for like 25 or maybe 30. I can't remember which, but it's still up there. They're expensive, so.
Mm-hmm. They absolutely are. I think the best value you're going to get is for Marvel Alliance 1 and 2. I think on the PS4.
They re-released them in a double pack or whatever.
Double pack for like $60. Yeah. So, but I mean, I really think this can go somewhere. Personally, I think this is a game that you could sell more consoles on. I'm not just saying that because it's our idea or anything, but I really, truly think it can. It's a different type of game where you can involve all of these beloved characters, and you can reward the people who've been so faithful to Nintendo in their selling of these collecting items, these amiibos. And it just entices the consumer, of course, on the Nintendo's part to make more money, because it entices people that, oh, you know what, I might go out and buy a few of these figures so I can unlock new items, new equipment, new wardrobes for these different characters. And of course, these different characters would be, you could bring in Robin from the Fire Emblem series and make him, her, whatever she or he is, and make them a support character where, they have their main attacks and whatnot. But however, you're able to, after you level him or her up to unlock supporting moves where you can boost everybody's attack up within a surrounding area. The possibilities are, I don't want to say unlimited or infinite, but it just seems like there's a lot there that they can toy around with.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, how do you guys see like a possibility of the story? I mean, because I had an idea and I sent it to you guys. I don't know if you thought that was a possibility or not, and I'll eventually share it. But I mean, storyline wise, what would you like to see? Like, what creates this merger of all these different worlds of these, Nintendo characters?
I mean, I think you go a couple different ways. Obviously, it would probably be like all the bad guys in Nintendo were, kind of teaming up, going at it. I think one cool thing would be maybe you have a bunch of different versions of Ganon over the years show up and kind of team together. Big Pig Man and whatever, not Pig Man, whatever he was at the end of Breath of the Wild. But I think it would be some kind of story where they have to take down, a group of everybody's bad guys. I mean, obviously Bowser, all of his Koopa children or whatever they are. I'm trying to think who else who's Donkey Kong's villain? I don't even know.
King K. Rool.
Oh, okay. Yep.
The crocodile.
So have him. But yeah, basically again, just I would have all the bad guys kind of team up, and that's your mission, is kind of take down all the bad guys.
You, Shill?
Yeah, so I think that my idea for like an enemy is an accident. That's my favorite kind of an idea for the whole experience. Professor Egad is in the Mario universe. He's a tinkerer, so maybe he has an accidental explosion that takes place, very similar to Mario and Rabbids. But like Professor Egad is trying to create some portal thing that takes him to different worlds or something, and he accidentally merges all these universes. And then once they are merged, you have some kind of super evil villain.
Super Ganon.
Yeah, Super Ganon or Giga Bowser combines with Ganon. Who knows, whatever,
Mecha Bowser.
Yeah, just some super evil that you could throw
think,
at the game.
But yeah, Mike Bundy, like I was going to say, I think it was going to be a clean... It was just going to be a clean sweep, pretty much. I think we can all come to terms that the big bad guy at the end of it all would be Ganondorf or Ganon. I know, I mean, what I say you guys was a little bit more detailed and whatnot. I'll go ahead and just like share it real quick. And I actually like his idea. So the premise, how I see the story going out is something along the lines, and I don't want to get too much into detail, but I think, of course, being that Super Mario or Mario himself is the most centric, iconic game character, especially for Nintendo, it should all start out with his world. And I like the idea that Shill said about the scientist. It should be where, what's his name?
Professor Egad. Is that who you're talking about?
Around. You better get going.
I'm still here. I'm going.
He's on his phone.
I'm driving. I've got the headphones with the mic hooked up to my Discord.
Okay. So I think Peach should actually approach Mario. One day she approaches Mario and she's actually concerned because Bowser has not been seen nor heard of for a very long time. And in the wake of that, Bowser Jr. actually comes to Peach's castle, in which, of course, the good guys, your Mario, your Luigi, are actually really concerned. And Bowser Jr. actually comes and tries to make them believe him, persuade them that, hey, my father's missing and I'm really concerned as well. And maybe it's that Bowser was last seen with a scientist. However, he recalls being
Professor Egad. Wow.
What?
He could kidnap Professor Egad.
Yeah, and Professor Egad creates a portal, and in turn, what happens is Ganondorf basically influences Bowser and even maybe King K. Rool, Donkey Kong's main, bad guy, his arch nemesis, because he's also a tinkerer. He also messes with sciences and tools and mechanics and stuff. So maybe Ganondorf, being the big bad guy out of their little assembly, tricks him into trying to find this artifact. Like, the portals are big enough, and I know, and here comes the fanboy in me, but wouldn't it be crazy if it was a cat and mouse game, like from the very beginning, where you use the good guys, you're trying to catch up with the bad guys. You don't necessarily know, but you understand that, hey, we're spending a lot of time in Hyrule right now. And then that's when things start to become crazy, is whenever Bowser retrieves the Majora's Mask. And the reason why I'm using Majora's Mask, again, this is very fanboy of me, and why Ganon would want this, is because it's so powerful. I mean, could it manipulate matter? Of course, in this game, it definitely would. Once Ganon gets his hands on this is where you start seeing the actual worlds being forced and merged together. However, I do like the simplicity of the Doctor just creating a portal and it going out of whack, almost like it did in Mario's plus Rabbids.
Right. There's something to be said for an accident to be your main enemy.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. Maybe though, I you know what? Rule out. I don't know. There's so many possibilities. Maybe rule out, like you said, the accident itself is the biggest enemy, and right once Ganon and King Krul, like, and Bowser, right once they realize, like, holy crap, we all want the same thing and whatnot. And however, maybe in a particular world, one of these worlds, Ganon realizes, like, in one of these different worlds, like in Kirby's world, maybe his Star Rider or something like that, maybe that just is infused with so much power. So maybe if he gets a hold of that, but I could see some comedy being played in this too, in some of the cutscenes. As me and my wife were sitting down and we were having some food at Permane Brothers, she got the princesses mixed up. She's like, Zelda's the one who's always stolen, right? I said, no, Peach is always the one. She's like, wait, a Mario game where Peach isn't getting stolen, isn't that kind of the thing? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And then, like, it made me snap my fingers. What happens? There's a mechanism, there's a mechanic, there's a way of telling a story in scripts where I think they call it a lock and key, where the hero has to go and get this certain sword. For instance, Link, he has to use the Master Sword to defeat Ganon. That's the only way to actually, the hero overcoming the big obstacle at the end of the story. So wouldn't it be funny if here Mario and Luigi, through subtitle and whatnot and characters, had discussed that, yeah, we have to go and save Zelda so that, and it's not like her to ever get stolen. And then Peach would kind of show a side of, kind of jealousy that she was, for the first time in the longest time, she wasn't the one that was stolen. She wasn't the one that was taken away, So, I mean, there's some comedy that you could put into there, but I mean, hey,
Absolutely.
From here on, we just be rambling on. But by the time you all out there hear this, we will have already sent Nintendo an email. I mean, we don't expect anything. Matter of fact, I never expect them to even read it. However, I do want to make it something that's very loud and sticks out to them, because I just want to see this idea come to life. I just want to see them do it. I think it would be a really, really good game, and I'm sure they could think of better ideas than we could in a matter of minutes compared to, however long we've been pitching this thing back and forth to each other, but we never actually told anyone else except for you, the listeners. So once again, we want to thank you, the listeners, every single week for going out here, whether you're going to work, coming back from work, maybe you're cooking dinner, maybe you're on your way to a family event and on a long drive, so you need some company. We want to be your company. And again, thank you for hitting that download button. We appreciate you listening to us week in, week out. And we just want you to go out there and please, if you want to stop by and drop off an email to us, maybe discuss with us what your favorite games are or what you'd like to hear on the podcast, let us know at geektavernproductions@gmail.com. Chill, where can they find you?
Well, before we get into my Twitter, I actually wanted to add to yours, Dax. We are starting a Discord. We are starting a Discord that the Geek Tavern radio listeners can jump in. They can chat with us directly, and we are going to be adding that to the show notes as well. The Discord link, so that folks can join in and have a conversation with us there as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Absolutely. As for finding me, you will be able to find me at shill_DS on Twitter. I post some funny tweets sometimes, and I would love to have a conversation with you and play some video games together. Mike Bundy, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at MikeBundy316 and on Instagram at MikeBundy316. How about you, Dax?
At Dax Hastings. You can follow me on Twitter at Dax Hastings. Next week, guys, let's get that Geek Tavern radio what's it called?
Discord.
The Discord. Let's get that Discord account up and running next week. But yeah, once again, you can find me at Dax Hastings on Twitter. Thank you very, very much, everybody, for sticking with us for almost over a year now. I think we're coming up on a year of doing this. So once again, can't say enough. Everyone, thank you. Shill, you be safe on them roads, and you text us when you get home. Everybody.
I will do that, my friends.
Everybody, go press start and keep on gaming.